Hey, what is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K-Rod here, back with another good video for y'all today. Yeah, let's get right to it. I'm gonna be talking about Mr. Gervonta Tank Davis. So, let's talk about Gervonta Tank Davis in a theoretical sense. We're gonna talk about Gervonta Tank Davis versus the 147 division. Who can he beat? Who could possibly beat Gervonta Tank Davis? And, yeah, it's been on my mind lately, so I figured let me talk about it and let's get right to it. See now, I've always been the one to say that Gervonta Tank Davis, he can easily dominate multiple divisions, but on top of that, I think I think Gervonta Tank Davis is literally the masterclass boxer puncher with a deadly lethality, and he's one of the most deadliest southpaws in the game. To this day. And I think everything that Gervonta has to offer now, it's gonna be a problem in the future later. So I don't know. I think honestly, just based off of how Tank is being moved, it's bad right now because Floyd, he's not giving Gervonta what he wants. But I think sooner than later, it's gonna probably have to come to a point in the sport where Gervonta has to take control of his career more. And I think Gervonta, deserves a lot better. I think Tank needs to, start looking at the bigger picture, and then eventually, he'll start to have, bigger fights, down the line. So, I mean, that's just me, of course, but let's just talk about the, potential matchups at 147 that, Tank could possibly beat or he can't beat. I'll start with the more dangerous ones. Let's talk about Jerron Boots Ennis. I think this is the fight that a lot of people would love to see if it were to happen. I would like to see it right now. If Tank could actually go up to 147 and beat a guy like Jerron Boots Ennis, I think that's a really good fight. And I think stylistically, knowing that they're naturally southpaws, Jerron Boots Ennis's, switch hitting ability is going to give Tank some major problems because Tank is not, the type to, be phased by someone who switches, potential stances. But knowing that Jerron Ennis does that while he's hitting you, I think Tank just needs to sharpen up the defense more in that fight. But if Gervonta cannot handle, Jerron Boots's or Jerron Ennis's pressure that he likes to do with his jab, and then he switches it to work it with the body shot and then pull hook counter it at the same time, I think Tank could I think Tank could definitely be in trouble for that. But that's a fight that has to definitely be played out because I don't like, creating fantasies to talk about Jerron Ennis's potential style against certain matchups. But in a theoretical sense, I think Jerron Ennis will get the best of Tank by pressuring him, to the body. And then when Tank is immobilized, he's gonna have to basically resort to heavy power shots, to the body, or basically just counter uppercut them to make sure that Jerron Ennis is Jerron Ennis can respect Tank's power, and then he can't really go in as he thinks he can because he's going to be stepping down and punching downwards towards Tank because he's a shorter guy. And Boots, he basically has 8 to 9, 10 inches on Tank when it comes to height and reach. Well, yeah, Jerron Ennis is at least 5'11", close to 6 feet. He's basically close to my height because I'm 6 feet, but Boots is people say he's 5'10", but I don't think so, man. I think Jerron Ennis is 6 feet, 6'1", but I could be wrong though. But I have to see him in person to actually see that out of him. But nah, shout out to Boots because he's a beast. But nah, just looking at the frame and looking at the lethality and the danger out of both fighters. Jaron Ennis is not going to let Gervonta just hit him. He's gonna move around in the ring just like Tank, and it's gonna be that type of fight where, it's gonna be a very deadly fight. And I think, everything that Jaron Ennis brings, to the table, that's gonna be such a deadly fight to the point where Tank just can't get his way, or he can't get out of the way with those jabs, and then Jaron's gonna move so much in the ring, but he's gonna switch hit as he's moving. And I think that's what's gonna make that fight so interesting because, Tank, he's really good at predicting the shots on time, but when you got somebody that's switching while he's moving and hitting, it's like trying to put a puzzle together, and it's like a labyrinth that is messing your mind up. And I think that's like the biggest weakness of a lot of fighters that are one dimensional, that can't see the right punch coming at them. So, I mean, knowing that for me myself, I'm a southpaw, I don't really try to go after the fighter. I wait for the fighter to come at me, and then if I know I could hit you, then I'm going to spot that punch, and then I'm going to go after you. And then I'm not going to hard engage. I'm going to just start getting like my rhythm down, because when I have the timing down, I'm able to execute more deadlier punches to you. And then they're sharpshooter punches. They're not just wild ass punches. It's punches that are going to be more basically more selective but more sharpshooter. And that's what I like out of guys like Gervonta and Boots, because they're sharpshooter hitting. Like basically Tank is a more sharpshooter hitting southpaw, and Jaron, he's more of a conventional deadly hitting, switch hitting southpaw. And the reason why that I say that is because, when you look at how they hit from like the power shot angles, they're not throwing wild ass power shots. They're more conventional, but they're more set up at a proper time. So when Jaron Ennis hits those hard, heavy hitting shots, he times that shit properly, and Tank does the same thing, but he conventionalizes those shots to the point where it makes it look a lot easier to look on camera, but in a fight, it's like it's so painful and so difficult to go through. So I definitely give props to that. I would probably favor Jaron Ennis like 55-45 in his favor. But if Tank could definitely get the best out of Boots, that could be a 50-45 fight or a true 50-50 fight, because we don't know if Jaron Ennis can take hard shots from a guy like Tank, even though Tank is coming up in weight, but Boots, he looks like a fucking heavyweight if you think about it. I mean, he basically walks around at like light heavyweight, close to cruiserweight limit, so he's like basically like a small heavyweight version of Wilder mixed with, like, I would say a Terry Norris. No, I would say Larry Holmes with a Wilder. That's how I see it. So that would be insane just to see that, and I would be shocked just to see that type of growth in the fight where Boots is just eating Tank's punches, but if Tank is hurting Boots hard enough, he would have to hit him. Like, he would have to really like immobilize him to the point where he just can't take the punches because Tank is moving around, but he's also getting Boots to a more late game situation where if he gets hit with that one cracking shot, Gervonta can definitely get at him. But I would have Boots to a decision. I don't think neither guy would get knocked out unless they're stupid enough to just go at it and just punch each other out. But I think Gervonta, he would definitely be a guy like Jaron Ennis if he was able to dog walk him. But I think it's a true 50-50 fight. I think Jaron Ennis could definitely beat Tank, but I would need to see that fight in order to see it. The next potential matchup would be a Keith Thurman fight. See, now, I'm not against Keith Thurman in this fight. I think Keith Thurman could very well defeat a Gervonta Tank Davis, but the problem with, Keith Thurman is that his body is so vulnerable to the point where he's not really making anything to adjust in that type of situation. And I think Keith Thurman fight is good for Tank because Tank, he's a lot more elusive and he's a lot more deadlier when he's fighting, in a boxing stance. And I think that type of fight is just going to be a lot more dangerous. And yeah, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, like I think Keith Thurman would, fuck around and get stopped by Tank. I think that would be absolutely. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. I think that would be very very interesting to see how that fight would go down, and I'm definitely down to see that, bro. Like I really think Tank would beat the shit out of him, but as far as that goes, I think how that would go down is that I think Tank would do good early game, and then Keith, like Keith, he'll do his thing. But I think how he's going to execute, he's gonna try outboxing Tank. But if he could try to hurt Tank, with like a good shot, and then try to gain traction by working more shots to the body, then I think Keith has a shot. But I think Tank stops him brutally to the body. And I think Keith will just fade late game, and that will be the end of it for him. But I think that's a really true 50-50 fight because we don't know how a Keith Thurman that looks super big, rehydrated in a fight like that would scale against Tank. But I think that would be very interesting to see. See now, for the last couple, I would say for Bud and EJ, I think EJ would decision Tank. I don't think he would stop Tank, and I think Bud, he would get knocked the fuck out by Tank, and that's simply because Terrence Crawford's chin is very suspect, and I think a Tank Davis would obliterate him. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what y'all think, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.